Let's talk about sexual liberation. If you are a woman and you have a girl child, it is your job to teach that girl child about her body. It is your job to teach her about sexual liberation. It is your job to teach her that her body is beautiful and there is nothing shameful about her body. There is nothing shameful about menstruation. There is nothing unholy, unclean. There is nothing dirty about menstruation. It just shows that she is a woman and she is capable of creating life. It is something beautiful. It is something that should be celebrated. Teach them that sex is beautiful and sex is enjoyable and sex is done with them and not to them. They are not an object that sex is done to. They are people who sex is enjoyed with. Teach them that they have the right to enjoy sex as women. They have the right to climax as women. And their job on earth is not just to satisfy men, but be satisfied by men. Sex is mutual and it should be enjoyed. They should not be ashamed of their body. They should not be ashamed of sex. They should not be ashamed of having sex. And most importantly, do not teach your girl child purity culture, especially the purity culture that says that they have to keep themselves for a man. They have to keep themselves as a reward for a man on their wedding night, and that how they are treated is based on if they keep themselves for a man or not. And if they are treated poorly, it is because they lost their virginity before they got married. Do not teach them that their worth is tied to their virginity and they will only be respected and treated nicely if they get married as virgins. Do not teach them to keep their virginity for a man. And one thing with me is, like, I would not even have a problem if the same purity culture that is taught to women is also taught to men. If men are also taught to keep themselves for women, if men are also taught to keep themselves pure for their wife, because their virginity is a gift that should be given to their wife on the wedding night. And because this purity culture is one sided and is always taught to women, I do not subscribe to it. Instead of teaching your girl child purity culture, teach her self preservation. Teach her not to have sex because sex have consequences, and the consequence of having sex is heavier on her as a woman. Do not teach her that she has to keep herself for a man, and her worth and her value and the respect that the man will give her is tied to her being a virgin. Teach her to keep herself, to preserve herself for herself, because of self-preservation, because sex have consequences and she's likely going to get pregnant if she has sex. And if she decide, oh, I am pregnant, I can get an abortion, her body will suffer and she might end up having consequences for getting that abortion, which only affect her and doesn't affect the man. They might say, oh, she can take pills. Oh, there are so many pills you can take so that you do not get pregnant. Those pills mess up your hormones and you don't have to put your hormones on a roller coaster because you want to have sex. And that is why I teach self preservation. Now, do not teach your daughters purity culture because their value is tied to them being virgins before they get married, or that the man is going to respect them only if they were virgins before they get married. Teach them purity culture because of self-preservation. They should be able to keep themselves pure because they are trying to preserve themselves, because they are doing it for themselves, because they understand that actions have consequences and sex have consequences, and the consequences of sex is heavier on women. Teach them that the consequences of sex is heavier on women. They are likely to get pregnant, and if they get pregnant and if they want to go and get an abortion, their body suffers. If they get pregnant, if they decide to keep that pregnancy, they would suffer. It will alter the course of their life forever, and they would probably not be able to get their lives back. And now they have a human that they are accountable and responsible for, and birthing children is not something you take back. So teach them consequences, teach them self-preservation. They should not have sex because of the consequences and because it is heavier on them as women. And I forgot to add that you might get STD, you might get incurable diseases like HIV, and you would suffer as a woman. So instead of teaching your girl child that, oh, they should keep themselves for a man, they are a reward for a man, their respect, or the fact that a man will respect them after they get married is tied to them being virgins. Instead of teaching them purity culture, teach them self-preservation, teach them the consequences of sex and how the consequences of sex affect them more, and how they should choose themselves, they should love themselves, they should keep themselves because of themselves. Lastly, and most importantly, love your girl child. It is very important that you love your girl child, because if you do not love her at home and she goes outside and a man gives her anything that smells like love, she's going to open her leg for him and she's going to suffer. So giving your children, especially your girl child, love at home guarantees, not always, but almost guarantees, that they are not going to go outside seeking for love and fall for predators. If you understand predatory behavior very well, you will know that these predators always target children who are not loved at home. They target children who are looking for love outside, and they manipulate them, they groom them, and they show them shaggy. For you to somehow protect your child from that, you have to love them at home, you have to respect them, you have to show them that regardless of the decisions that they make, you are there for them. And for you to almost guarantee, it is not always 100% guaranteed, but for you to almost guarantee that they do not fall to predators outside, you have to love them at home. You have to treat them nicely. You have to teach them sex education. You have to teach them self preservation. You have to teach them to speak up when their body is violated, when they are touched inappropriately. There is nothing shameful about it. What this sex what this sexual liberation does to children is to teach them that there is nothing shameful about sex. And if someone tries to touch them outside, if someone tries to grape them, if someone tries to touch them inappropriately, it is nothing shameful. Talk about it. There is a shame and a stigma attached to women who are being raped, and that is why most women do not talk about it, because there is shame around sex, there is shame around women's body. Teach your children liberation. Teach them that their body is beautiful. Teach them that they enjoy sex, and when sex is done to them, they should have the audacity to talk. When they are violated, they should have the audacity to speak up, because there is nothing shameful about being raped. It is not your responsibility as a girl child to absorb your predator of the shame of being raped. It is not your shame to carry. Let the person who violated you carry the shame. Let the person who raped you carry the shame. It is not your job. And women who are raising women who are raising the girl child should understand this and should teach it to their children, so that we will raise a generation of fearless women who speak up, who have the audacity to speak up, who love and respect themselves, and who practice self-preservation.